This is TWiT.
Mudge, I know that this is early days and you still have to look over the code. You have to look over the research to see exactly where this exploit's going to fall inside of, say, a Metasploit and an exploit kit. But my question to you would be twofold. First, how do we mitigate this? So what should corporations, businesses, individuals be looking at doing, aside from just patch? And the second thing is there some sort of systematic change that we could make here to prevent exploits like this from happening in the future?
Okay, sure. Well, first, let's start with the systematic aspect. This comes down to a really fundamental principle of security. You should never, ever, ever trust any input from an untrusted source, okay? And things like headers passed from your browser to your web server, that's input from an untrusted source. Now, of course, what broke for us is we thought that environment variables were this harmless thing where we could never get code execution out of that. So we passed that untrusted input to it, but we got bit by that assumption. So it might be fair to say anything that leaves your application in any sort of way needs to be sanitized in some sort of way. But that's asking a lot. Now, I'm a developer. We're lazy. We have assumptions about our environment and how things work. This is just one of those assumptions that broke. Now, how would I audit for it? I would go look at anything that's internet facing, okay? And start with, say, your web applications. Look anywhere where another program is called, okay? And try to find out, try to attack it, try to find out, is the environment a clean environment when that new program starts? Or is the environment somehow inherited from the web application? And is that inherited environment, does it contain some sort of information that the user, an untrusted source, could control? And that's what you need to look at. And that's what I was doing last week, because when I first saw this, I didn't know if I was vulnerable. And I'll tell you, I was checking because I didn't want to be gone over the weekend and get hit with it. So the best practices and the kind of things we rely on every day and what's really vulnerable to this and what's not, that's going to come out over the course of the next few weeks. And you're going to find there's probably a few very narrow circumstances where something that people do rely on a lot is vulnerable, could be attacked, and it's going to get fixed, and life is going to go on for the rest of us. One other note, though, about the patch thing. The patch that came out last week was incomplete. It was possible to circumvent it and still have the same effect. So the patch is a very basic stopgap at this time. And a Google researcher, Michael Zaleski, came out and said that there's another CVE related to this that's going to drop. So what you're seeing and the patches for it, there's still more to come, it looks like. But folks are actually looking at this problem, and just be very, very careful when you're passing things to the shell from an internet-facing application.
Mudge, once again, thank you so very much. It's great having you as our security guru on call. I know you're busy. I know you're jumping around the world, so I do appreciate the time.